Welcome to today's session, Queens, from bitter roots to blessed fruits. We're embarking on a journey into the most private and powerful part of our existence, the heart. Notice the gold and purple before you. These are the colors of royalty and refinement. They remind us that even in our pain, we possess a royal dignity, and through the fire of healing, we are refined like gold. Today, we learn how to heal the wounds that have been hidden for far too long. Imagine your heart as a vast internal garden. In the natural world, a tree is only as healthy as its root system. If the roots are diseased, the fruit will be stunted. Our lives work the same way. We often focus on fixing our visible behaviors, our tempers, our habits, without realizing those are just the fruit. To see a real change, we have to look beneath the surface at the soil of our subsurface realities. We begin with the most difficult step, identification. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. In this first section, we're going to shine a golden light into the dark corners of the soul to identify the specific roots that are stealing your peace. So how do you know if there is a hidden root of bitterness? Look for the check engine lights of the soul. Are you constantly triggered by small comments? Have you built a wall of cynicism to protect yourself? Do you find yourself withdrawing from the very people who love you? These aren't personality traits, sisters. They are symptoms of an underlying wound that is crying out for attention. The author of Hebrews gives us a vital warning. See to it that no root of bitterness springs up to trouble you. Bitterness is a root because it grows quietly and deeply before it ever breaks the surface. But once it does, it doesn't just trouble you, it defiles many. Bitterness is a communal toxin. When we don't heal, we eventually bleed on people who didn't cut us. And we're going to read Hebrews 12, verse 15. And it says, looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Look at these gnarled roots in this tree, in this picture, sisters. A wound begins as a seed, a betrayal, a loss, or a very harsh world. If we don't process that pain, we mull it over. That word mull actually comes from the same root as mill, like a stone grinding down grain. We grind the pain into our hearts until it takes root. Once that root is established, it begins to strangulate our capacity for intimacy and joy. The cost of carrying these roots is higher than you think, sisters. Statistics suggest that nearly 75% of stress-related physical ailments are linked to suppressed emotional pain. The body, you see, it's a truth teller. It carries the score that the mind tries to ignore. When we hold on to bitterness, we aren't just hurting our souls, we are literally making our bodies a house for disease. Bitterness is an expensive habit. As this chart shows, resentment requires a massive 90% drain on our internal batteries. And that's just to keep the anger fueled. Forgiveness, while difficult at first, only requires a fraction of that energy to maintain. Ask yourself this, sisters. What could you achieve with that 90% of energy if you weren't using it to maintain a grudge? Now we move to part 2, the uprooting. This is the work of healing. It is a radical, sometimes painful process, but it is the only way to clear the ground for new life. Let's look at this table together. We must categorize our wounds to conquer them. If the root is rejection, the lie is, I'm not enough. The truth is, I am chosen. If the root is injustice, the lie is, they owe me. The truth is, grace cancels the debt. We must replace the broken narrative with eternal truth to begin the uprooting. As we reach a pivotal moment in our transition from bitterness to blessed fruit, we must address the divine mandate of forgiveness as found in Matthew 6, 14 through 15. And it says, "For if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses." You see, the Bible presents us with a sobering reality. Our spiritual health, our experience of the Father's mercy are directly tied to our willingness to release others. In the life of a believer, bitterness acts as a girdle around a tree, choking the flow of nutrients. By choosing to forgive, we perform a necessary spiritual pruning. We cut away the dead, toxic wood of past trespasses. It is only when we let go of the debt others owe us that we find the soil of our hearts clear enough to produce the blessed fruit the King desires. So breaking the cycle requires a radical release. Think of it like a golden light breaking through a dark storm. This isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's about saying, I will no longer let what you did to me define who I am. When you sever the root, the bitterness loses its power and its source of power over you. Okay, sorry about that. So let's talk about cognitive reframing. And I know that sounds like a big word, but all it really means is healing. And it means healing in your mind. So healing requires a mindset shift. On the left, we see the broken lie, the belief that you are a permanent stain or a victim of your history. On the right, we see the restored truth. In the royal economy of the heart, your wounds aren't stained. They are the exact places where grace enters to rebuild you stronger than you were before. Finally, we reach the beautiful conclusion, part 3, cultivating the harvest. This is where the soil of your heart finally produces something sweet, nourishing, and life-giving. Look at this harvest. When the bitter roots are gone, the fruit of the Spirit begins to grow. You find a new capacity for joyful connection. You leave a generational blessing for your children, and you finally possess a restored heart. The gold in these images represent the value of a life lived in freedom. A healed wound does not simply disappear. It becomes a scar. But in this journey, a scar is a badge of honor. It no longer hurts when touched. Instead, it tells a story of survival. Your history is no longer a prison, it's a bridge. You are now uniquely qualified to help others find their way out of the darkness that you once inhabited. So let's look at this resilience over time graph. So healing is a trajectory, not a single event. As you move from awareness to uprooting and finally to the harvest, your internal resilience will grow. You'll notice that the things that used to crush you now only graze you. This is the steady upward climb of a soul that has learned to stay soft toward grace. Here is your roadmap, sisters, the healing season. Discovery is naming the pain. Uprooting is releasing the debt. Tilling is planting the new truth. And harvest is living in the fruit. Where are you on this timeline today, sisters? Wherever you are, know that the season of fruit is coming if you do not give up on the process. So as we close this reflection, look at this sunrise. Remember this. The same soil that grew bitterness has the potential to grow the most beautiful grace. Your heart isn't bad soil. It's just growing the wrong things. Today, the light of a new day is rising on your healing. So thank you for joining me, sisters, on this journey from bitter roots to blessed fruits. We've covered a lot of ground today. I want to leave the floor open for reflection, and you can write these in the comments. What root did you identify whilst watching this presentation? What fruit are you longing to see? Let's talk about how to take that first step towards the goal of restoration. Thank you for joining me today on Raising Queen Sisters. I hope you stay blessed, and that if you find that there is a sister out there that needs to hear this message, please share it with her and like and subscribe. That will help us to continue to grow. All praises to the Most High. Thank you, sisters.